And these things are an absolute gun bait. Good fish. Good fish. He almost pulled my rod in. Good afternoon everyone, and what we're going to be doing today is an estuary food chain challenge. So the plan is to go and get some bait and then come back and see what fish we can catch in this estuary using the bait which we collected. So it should be a bit of an interesting challenge, so let's get into it. Okay, so it's actually low tide at the moment, so what I'm thinking of doing is making my way out onto the mud flats with the yabby pump and trying to collect some bass yabbies. Now those are an absolute gun bait, so if we do get onto some yabbies, we are in for some luck this afternoon. So I reckon that's what we're going to do right now. Head over to the flats and try collect some bait. Okay, so we've made our way down here, and as you can see, it is an absolutely massive low tide. So the game plan is to walk out onto the mud flats. We've got our bucket, we've got our yabby pump, and our plan is to pump up some nippers. Now what you want to do to find these nippers is make your way out onto the mud flat and look for the soft sand with all these little holes scattered around in the mud. And I actually prefer when there's a little bit of water coverage just on top of the sand, so that means it's extra soft. All right, so here we have our pump. Now what we want to do is look for a few holes which are all bunched up together and preferably underwater. So as you can see, it's a good group here. So what you want to do is push down and pull up at the same time, and then just squirt out all the mud there. Do it a few times, and hopefully you find the nippers. There we go, we got a little one, a very little one. See if we can get any more. There we go, there's another one. All right, so we've got a couple now. There we go, there's three. There's one. Here's a little one, we'll let him go. We got a few here now. We won't take too many, we just want enough for a good amount of bait. So these things are called bass yabbies or nippers, and they make an absolute excellent whiting bait, brim bait, perch bait. Pretty much everything eats these guys right here. So what we're going to do is go over to our local estuary now and see if we can complete the food chain challenge and catch a fish using these little nippers. Okay, so here we are back down at the little estuary. So we had a really successful bait session. We ended up with like 20 or so nippers, so that'll be more than enough. And if we don't use them all, we can always release them back here because there is nippers in here as well. So it's really windy today, so what I've done is I've just ducked out of the wind in this little cove, but it also happens to be a really good fishing spot. So there's actually a weed bed on either side of the bank. Now obviously in those weed beds there's going to be shrimp, little bait fish, so that's going to be the perfect areas to target with our little nippers. So I'm really excited to get into it and see if we can catch any fish. So we've got 2 rigs to try out to rig these nippers up on, so let's go through them now. So let's just quickly go through the rigs. So the first one is going to be the stereotypical jig head, which you would use on a soft plastic. Now with the second one, we've switched it up a little bit, and we've actually got a running ball sinker which goes up and down the line, and at the bottom of that we have a little long shank hook to put the yabby. So those are the 2 rigs we're going to be using, so we're going to compare them and see which one is working. Okay, so here's the first little nipper which we're going to get out there. So I tried to rig one up on a soft plastic jig head, but it didn't really work out, so we switched both of them over to the little running ball sinker rig with the long shank at the bottom. So let's get the first one out, and with this first one we're just going to cast it right next to the weed bed because I reckon that's where some of these brim and perch will be hanging out. All right, so we've sunk that all the way down to the bottom. So now it's pretty much just a waiting game with this rod. So we'll rig the other one up and get it out there. We got a fish. First fish of the day is not what we want. A little salmon. As soon as I chucked that out, I felt it get hits, and the little salmon have just been smashing it. So technically that is the challenge complete, but we're after a little bit bigger fish than the little salmon. So we'll chuck him back. We're after either a brim or a perch to complete the challenge. Let's get that second dipper out there and see if we can upgrade from that tiny little salmon. I haven't even been able to get my other rod out yet. That's how many hits I'm getting straight away. Oh, there's a fish on here. There's a fish on this other one. What is that? I don't even know what this is. Oh, it's a flathead. No, it's not a flathead. I don't know what we've caught. This is the first one of, it looks like a mutant flathead. That is the weirdest fish I've ever caught out of here. Let me know what that is in the comments. There he goes. Literally, I think the best way to go about it is just to use one rod and focus on the one, because I've lost 6 nippers in like 5 minutes of fishing. It's ridiculous. Okay, so we've gone through over half of the nippers so far and we haven't caught a good fish yet. So what I'm gonna do is move up river and change locations. We are running out of chances because we don't have many left, so fingers crossed we can pull a good fish. All right, so we have now moved locations. We've moved a little bit upriver, so the water is more discolored here. It's a lot browner, a lot darker. So I'm hoping a lot of those pickers, which we were getting in the last spot, disappear and we'll only catch the big fish. Anyway, that's the theory, so time to test it out. As I said, we're running out of bait, but we're also running out of sunlight. So the time is against us, the bait is against us, but hopefully we can pull off a big fish. Anyway, that's the first one on there. So there's a big snag just over there, so we'll cast it towards the snag, and that's the first bait. So with this second one, we're just going to cast it along the weed bed. Quite often there'll be bream just cruising along the weeds looking for food, and hopefully they'll run into my little yabby. That's perfect. All right, there's little stuff here as well. I lied. Oh, that was a good hit. There we go. I think that's better. Is that better? Yeah, it's got head shakes. Oh, this could be better. Oh, little bream. Is it? A baby bream. I knew it was different, but he's very small. Take a look at him. He is an absolutely baby bream. We actually caught our target species. He's tiny though. Let's let him go. Good fish. Good fish. He almost pulled my rod in. That's better. He almost pulled my rod in. This was right on the weeds. Literally right in the weeds. My rod almost went in. Oh, it's a little bit bigger bream. Come on. Yes, we got him. Both of the good fish we've caught have been right on that weed line. All right, let's take a look at our reward from hours and hours of fishing. As you can see, he has absolutely demolished that little nipper. You know, not every day the plans come together. Sometimes you have the really slow fishing days, but he's still a really solid little bream. Only 15 centimeters, but I'm happy with him either way. Look at that, he demolished that live nipper. Let's get the hook out and get him back on. All right, thanks for the fight, mate. You almost pulled my rod in. Anyway, hopefully I'll see you in like 10 years when you're a bit bigger. Good fish. He smacked that. Almost pulled my rod in again. It's got to be another bream, I think. It's not even that big. It's not even that big. What? He just screamed off. What? Let's let him go. Alright, I'm using my phone light. It's like completely dark, but as you guys see, we don't always catch the big fish. Every fishing trip isn't always really successful, but I still had a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this one as well. If you want to see me come back with a vengeance and try complete the food chain challenge for real, then let me know in the comments. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more videos in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.